Hello everyone, I Zaira Madina Zeeb welcome you all for the webinar on stress management and psychology. The webinar will help in understanding human behavior and mental processes, and it will also allow to understand better on how we think, act and feel. We know how an effective stress management can help us to be happier, healthier and more productive. The ultimate goal is a balanced life with time for work, relationship, relaxation and fun. If you are interested in deeper understanding, you can connect with us for the courses we have. But for now, let's just begin with our webinar. Also, who have joined our webinar for the first time, we want to let you know that at the end of the webinar, we'll be giving a quiz link. Kindly fill up the link, and as soon as we receive your answers, we'll be giving away your certificates through your email. So this webinar is organized by Alma Matter. Alma Mater was established in the year 2004, and we have our forte, which lies in KPOs. We help in training programs and many more. And to know more about our company, you can visit our website, that is Alma Mater. Alma Mater has successfully made another program that is called Alma Mater Sparks. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. So we have started another program that is called Alma Mater Sparks, which is a support program aimed at raising knowledge and skill. The motive of Spark is to give individuals exposure to various skills that will help them identify their own specialization and make their future filled with health, wealth, and happiness. Alma Mater Sparks provides coaching and classes to all the students in need. You can visit our website, that is Alma Mater Spark, to register with us. And if you find a course which you want to register, you can simply register. And if you do not find a course which you want to, you can simply go to our learning page and register for the page you want or the course you want to have. One of the efforts we are carrying out right now is that every week we are trying to get some new topic and train students through the webinar. And coming to today's webinar, as you know, that is on stress management and psychology, will be presented by Tushar sir, will be the instructor for today. So Tushar sir is an assistant professor with 2 years of teaching experience at the undergraduate and graduate levels. He is also pursuing his PhD at the same time. He has had an unconventional journey starting from mechanical engineer and now being a successful psychologist. He is a psychologist by education but also by disposition. To sum up this, he has been working as a course coordinator of psychology. He has also worked as corporate setting and counseled individuals. Sir, we are glad to have you on board with us. Now you can take and start your psychology session.
Thank you, Zaira. Hello, everyone. I think Zaira has already introduced me. So I'll just introduce once again. My name is Tushar Chauhan. I've been currently teaching in Sharda University as an assistant professor of psychology. And we'll be going through some of the very basic topics of psychology, but also understand why these basic topics matter so much and why actually psychology matter so much in itself. It will be focused upon stress as well. So uh, without any delay, I'll share the PPT and start. Uh, Let me just share the screen. So first of all, we need to understand what psychology is. Now, in my own experience, whenever I tell somebody that I am a psychologist, mostly people do what people ask, "Ki, can you read my face? Can you read what I'm thinking right now?" So, and this is not exaggeration, but every time I tell somebody, this is their first question. Now, psychology is not, it's not just about understanding what the other person is thinking. And I'll say to the extent that it's not at all understanding what somebody is thinking by just looking at them. That is what body language science is for. Psychology is much more deeper and much more, it has a much more impact than that. It's the study of all the mental processes and the behavior. So how we work, how our minds work. Now, the thing is, our mind is a central processing unit, just like our computer. It does. Divya, if you can mute your mic. Okay. So, just like a computer central processing unit, CPU, mind is responsible for most of the function. Our limbs, our hands move because of the mind. How we think, what our emotions are, it's all because of mind. So psychology is a study of all those things. But one simple understanding that I can give a simple line to explain what psychology is. There is environment which we are born in. Environment is everything apart from us. And there is what our behaviors are. Behaviors are basically our action or reaction towards the environmental stimulus. For example, if I am asking you to stand up, my voice is an environment, and how you are responding to that is your behavior. Now, psychology tries to understand what are the rules that governs the behavior, what are the exact laws, how we think, how we process the data around us, how we how we learn something, how we grow up, what our future will be. So psychologist is not about just reading face, it can predict the future based upon the past of the person. It kind of understand how we all process our data. So I hope you get the basic gist of what psychology is. Now, the thing is, one question that I myself ponder over is why study psychology? We are fine as we are, and there is no need to understand our behavior or somebody else's behavior. The thing is, psychological laws or principle, I find that these are tools. These are tools that we use to construct our world. And it's not as if we don't use psychology. We always use psychology. Maybe what we use is something scientific, or maybe what we use is not scientific. But psychology gives you a very scientific principles. That is the focus of psychology. Now, right tools build a right kind of world. Without the right tools, you cannot build a right kind of world. So that is why psychology is necessary. For example, if you want to plow a field which is of 1 square kilometer, you cannot plow with just handmade tools. You have to have a JCB or some sort of automatic tools or tractors. Without that particular tool, there is not a possibility of plowing it in a right way, right? So that's why psychological principles are necessary, so that we construct our world in a better way. Now, I'll give you an example how how psychological knowing the psychological principle is necessary. So first of all, one of the few places where there is application of psychology is workplace behavior, how our parenting is done, meaning how how parents can use the understanding of psychology for their children, who our friends should be. For example, our parents always used to say, no, ki don't have friends which are not doing good in their life. So I think I never quite understood till 20s or my 25. मुझे लगता था कि parents are like कि इन लोगों के साथ नहीं खेलना, don't play with them, don't do this thing. मुझे लगता था कि खेल ही तो रहे हैं, what will happen? But it is now that I understand how important it is, and it is through psychology that I have understood that what is the cruciality of having friends. जो हमारे parents बोलते थे, they were always right, but we never understood it because there was no logic behind. मतलब कभी logic हमें समझ नहीं आया. So we'll discuss that later. Now, some of the other field are persuasion, politics, or studying. I mean, wherever your mind, is used, you can apply psychology. We'll move towards uh, some of the theories in psychology. First, we'll go through the learning theories, and I'll focus how these learning theories happen to be used in creating habits. So we'll go through that. If anybody has any question in the midway, they can also ask. Uh, so this is one of the very, I'll go through two experiments. These are one of the very pioneer experiment in psychology, which changed how we study psychology. The one of the experiment was Skinner's box experiment. It happened in 1948. B.F. Skinner was the person who conducted this experiment. Now, as you can see on your screen, there is a cage in which there is a rat. Now, there is a lever here. Uh, if you press this lever, what happens is the food pellet comes out from this food dispenser. Right. Now, what happened was initially this rat was put into this cabin, and the rat accidentally pressed this lever. The food pellet came out. What happened after after a series of trials is that the rat learned that if the rat press this pedal, the food pellet will always come out. और वो जो frequency है वो बहुत change हो गई. The frequency changed. The rat, whenever you put rat into this cage, rat will press this pedal only. Why? Because the rat wants to have a food pellet. तो जो इस experiment का कहना था, it was that if you reward a behavior with something good, the behavior will increase. अब इसमें behavior क्या है? Behavior है the rat is pressing the pedal or the lever, and the food is coming out is the reward. So this theory was based upon reward and punishment. दूसरा इसमें experiment same था कि नीचे जो electrified grid है, it was conducted with a different rat or maybe the same rat. That if the rat pressed this pedal, the electrified grid used to conduct the electricity charge of very small amount, and the rat that learned to press this pedal and get a reward stopped using this lever because it was now giving a punishment. Now this is called as the theory of reward and punishment or operant conditioning. Basically what it says is, if you want to increase a behavior, you have to reward that behavior again and again. If you want to punish a behavior or you want to decrease the behavior, you punish. That is the basic understanding, though they are complexities, but we'll just stick to the basics. आप लोगों ने, have you seen this in your daily life? I mean, if anybody can suggest any example in daily life where they have seen this happening, operant conditioning, increasing the behavior through reward or decreasing the behavior through punishment. Anyone?
At school.
Yes, at school. How?
When a student does a homework on time, he is rewarded with good marks or a remark by writing very good, excellent, like this. And if he does not do the homework on the time, he was told to get out of the class. So
right. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. See, it happens around us very often. और ये तो स्कूल हो गया, स्कूल में तो होता है, मतलब our parents use this. Our parents use reward and punishment automatically. For example, we are always well versed with balan and slippers. So every mother has a preferred tool to teach their children some manners, right? I was more familiar with balan. You might be more familiar with some other tools, but it is how our parents taught us. कि अगर कुछ काम नहीं किया तो there is a balan. I hope you know what a balan is. I think every Indian knows this. And वो slippers भी आ जाती थी कभी कभी ना उड़ के दूर से कि तुम कुछ गलत कर रहे हो. और so I think that was again reward and punishment. And one examples of reward is हमारे parents बोलते थे कि if you top your school in 10th, we'll give you a motorcycle or this reward. वो अलग बात है, we never got the reward because we never topped the class. So that is a different thing. But our parents used to, tell us कि you will get a reward if you have fun, if you can top the class. और ये हर जगह होता है, ऐसा नहीं है कि it is only happening outside. For example, why do we eat food? Because we feel satisfied. Our brain is giving us a reward. That is why we eat food. Otherwise हमें क्या पता हमें भूख लग रही है और हमें खाना खाना. I mean, we just automatically eat food. Why? Because once we eat food, we get satisfied. So that is the reward that brain is giving. Brain is also corrupting us. It's not, only our parents or our teachers. Now the thing is, if it's so automatic, why do we need to understand it at all? Because our parents are using it. The thing is, because sometimes we use it incorrectly, and then we wonder why some things are not working. For example, सबसे ज़्यादा the parents, parents are always like कि my child, hide their mistakes. अब मेरे बच्चे जो है मिस्टेक छुपाते हैं या झूठ बोलते हैं. They are all, मतलब they wonder. Now why they want, what the parent does is, once a child accept a mistake, the first instinct is to punish. कि बच्चे ने कोई मिस्टेक करी कि मैंने मैं फेल हो गया या फिर मैंने पैसे चुराए, ठीक है, या कुछ भी, द चाइल्ड एक्सेप्ट अ मिस्टेक एंड देयर फर्स्ट इंस्टिंक्ट इज पिटाई कर दी या फिर स्कोल्डिंग या समथिंग लाइक दैट. नाउ सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर. द बिहेवियर इज एक्सेप्टिंग अ मिस्टेक, right? Behavior is telling the truth. What the parent is doing? Punishing them. See how sabotaging it is, how you're decreasing the chances of a person being honest. And then the parents wonder, why is my child lying to me? Because you probably punished them when they were doing a good behavior, right? So that's why the understanding is necessary. We sometimes don't use it properly. Other example can be relationships. आपने देखा होगा, it's in romantic relationships as well as relationship with parents, और मतलब किसी के भी साथ भी होता क्या है कि let's say our parents ask us या फिर our better half ask us कि ये चीज साफ कर दो, या ये चीज मतलब थोड़ा गंदा है, ये चीज रूम साफ कर दो. This happens a lot. What is the first thing that we see? Let's say कि मैंने बोला या किसी ने मेरे से बोला, my better half said, told me to clean the room. I cleaned it. What is the first thing that we see in the room? Anyone? Question is कि कभी-कभी होता क्या है, मतलब somebody asks us to do anything. For example, cleaning. I'll take the example of cleaning, and people, when the other person come and sees the cleaning, what is the first thing they say about it? If anyone want to,
Not now, later on.
Okay. So the thing is कि the first thing that other person says is कि यहाँ पे clean नहीं है, यहाँ पे clean नहीं है, वहाँ पे clean नहीं है, ठीक है. They look at the things that is, मतलब हमारा brain functions like that. We only see that what is not being done rather than looking at what is happening. And this is one of the worst mistakes that we can do. If somebody is doing good, and even if they are doing 10% good or 20% good, you have to appreciate them. You have to appreciate because you want that behavior to continue. If somebody is doing something for you, whether it's 100%, whether it's 10%, you have to appreciate them. So that is how we don't use proper reward and punishment. And then we wonder why the other person stopped doing something which we wanted them to do. So this is one understanding you can take and use in your personal relationships. If you want somebody to do what you want them to do, you can, always have a good communication about it. I'll move on to the next theory so that we can, understand how these both can help us in habit formation and other areas. Now, the second theory was from I think this is something which everybody has read in their biology books. It was Pavlov's experiment. Ian Pavlov did what that Ian Pavlov did, presented the dog with food. Now, what happens is whenever there is food on the table, or it's not for dog, it's for humans only. The first response of our body is salivation. That is natural response, natural biological response of the body. Ian Pavlov combined a whistle or a bell with food. Every time Pavlov gave food to the dog, Pavlov also whistled or ring a bell. Now, after a while, after a series of trials, what happened is, without even the food, even if there is a whistle, there would be salivation. There would always be salivation. Meaning, when this experiment was conducted, now there is no food, there is no need for, when there is only a whistle to have salivation. But what happened is, the dog learned that if there is a whistle, there has to be a salivation. This is a learning curve, or there has to be food, so that's why the salivation. Now we also learn like this. It's not just the animals, we are also social animals, and we learn through like this only. Now the thing is, if I say salivation, even when I say salivation, most of people start salivating. See, this is how much we have learned this response. Even if I say salivation without presenting food, without saying the name of the food, we start to automatically salivate. Some of us do. So this is how we have learned to do things. And this theory is called as the learning through association. What this means is, we learn through creating associations. We associate some things with some things, and we start to have the response transferred from the biological response to the normal neutral thing. So biological इसमें क्या हो गया, food. Neutral क्या हो गया, vessel. So the association has been made. इसका main equation है, there is a association between environmental stimulus and naturally occurring stimulus. Environmental was in the previous example the bell or the whistle, and naturally occurring stimulus is basically the food. Where is it used? It is used all around us. For example, in advertisement, let me have a sip of water. In advertisement, one of the most common things that advertisers use is the image of a female. Why do they do so? In the most disconnected advertisement, they will use the image of a female. Why? Because they use the sexual attraction of the opposite sex to create association between the product and the the human watching the advertisement. So this is where in advertisement also celebrities are used. Why? Because we associate celebrities with success and happiness. So we think, we don't actually think, it's automatic process. The transfer, the whatever we associate the celebrity with is transferred to the product, right? So it is used in advertisement. Sleeping habits. So for example, sleeping habit, wherever we sleep, if we are not able to sleep properly for 4 to 5 days in a particular place, we can't sleep there. Why? Because we have associated that place with not being able to sleep. So it is used all around us. Now coming to habits, how we can use this in habits, how we can use these two theories in habits, and we can create habits or stop having a habit which is bad, or create habit or include habit in our daily lifestyle which are good. Now for example, let's say we take the example of studying or any other habit for that matter, maybe going to a gym or starting a new hobby. So one thing is, how we start a habit is due to a cue. Cue meaning a stimulus in the environment. It can be anything. It can be stress, it can be a person, it can be environment. For example, some of the very bad habits such as smoking and drinking starts with cue. We are stressful, we want to get over that stress, or we want to include it in a particular friend group, and if they do something as such as smoking or drinking, we want to be included in that friend group, right? So that is a cue. If we have a stress, we want to be entertained, we always go, towards Netflix or something like that. Second is craving. It's a craving such as satisfaction or craving for entertainment that is necessary to start any habit. These are some of the things. Now, how classical conditioning is is very necessary. Though the previous theory we talked about the classical conditioning or learning through association, why it's necessary is that if you want to start a new habit, you need to associate a particular time, a particular location towards a habit, so that whenever you go there, you start to think about that habit. For example, one of the things that I use for study is I play a very smooth music, or a music which is very meditative. Why? Then I think of study as something very relaxing, right? I am associating the music with the study. I don't think that studying will be very stressful. Why? Because I always play music. So these two things are associated. Location, again, many people say that you should have a location of studying in a secluded corner where you don't do anything at all. Why? Because you need to associate that location with only studying. So location is necessary. Timing is also necessary. You need to have a particular time for studying. It can be 2 hours, it can be 1 hour, but from, for example, 7 to 8. Or if you are, if you are wanting to start running, you need to have a proper time, for example, 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. so that you associate that particular time with running, and you always, come up with, okay, there is a craving for running at that particular time or at that particular location. One another thing that is there is anchoring. Anchoring is, if you are wanting to study, you cannot come down from, for example, watching Netflix. After watching Netflix, it would be very difficult to study. Why? Because Netflix was already giving you a very good amount of entertainment. Now, if you are going to study after that, you will feel very low, and you will again go and do some other thing. This is in my general personal opinion, that if you are going to study or any habit which requires effort, and every good habit requires effort, or you can also say that habits become good which very few people can do. That's why they have a upper hand. So any habit which is good requires effort. Now the thing is, this effort, we are lazy by nature. Humans are lazy by nature. So if you want to study, if you want to go for a running, start from something which is less, giving you less entertainment. For example, you can go for a walk for 15 minutes, then start to study, because walking does not give you entertainment. Now, once you have walked, when you go to study, the anchoring is that you are starting from something small, and studying is giving you much more flow. Other theory that we studied previously is proper reward and punishment theory. So you need to give yourself proper rewards. Whenever you do something good, there need to be a particular, proper reward system that you need to give yourself, or you need to give your child. The reward can be appreciation. The reward can be monetary. The reward can be, going for a, going with friends. The reward can be anything. It should not be self-sabotaging. It should not be as if you went to a gym, right? And then the reward you are giving yourself is eating unhealthy food. That cannot be it, because it is, decreasing your progress. So the reward system needs to be there. If you are doing something good, you need to reward yourself. For example, if you, went for running, you can come back and have a relaxing time for half an hour. You can just lay down and, have a cup of coffee. This can be a reward. You can go for having a massage if, you did something good. Now, the thing is, why do we need immediate rewards? The thing is, again, as I said, we are lazy people by nature. And, any good habit requires a lot of effort. So the long-term reward will be there. Long-term reward for everything will be there, but we don't know that. We know that, but we don't feel that at the present moment. We just feel the effort that we need to put. So there should be an immediate reward as well, such as I told you the examples. Now, long-term rewards can be, long-term rewards are themselves. If you are having a healthy habit, you will have a better health. If you are studying, you will do good in life. You will have more resources than most people. Then it's a long-term reward. Long-term reward, the habit takes care of itself. But we don't feel that in the starting, so we need to reward ourselves. One thing is keeping the distractions away. See, we can always use the thing that I said, that we are lazy people by nature. So the distraction should be put somewhere where it is tough to reach. If you are, if you have just sit down for studying, keep your mobile away, for example, in another room. Silent it, keep it in another room. Why? We don't want to make the effort of going there and picking up the mobile. If you are trying to eat healthy, if you are trying to eat, nutritious meals, you are trying to leave sugar, you need to keep that thing maybe in the uppermost box of your cabinet, so that it's tough to reach there. When you want to reach it and you want to have it, you will be moreover like, I don't want to go there and take it, because it takes effort. On the other hand, you can get your cravings satiated with water, which will be easily accessible. So keep the distractions away. Distractions are cues, and once you have a stimulus, once you have a cue, you will start to have the bad habit. So keep your distractions away. So what I personally use is, when I sit down to study, I keep the lights off, only the laptop on. Why? Because I am not able to see anything else. Now when I am studying, I'll only focus. I don't watch Netflix on my laptop. I don't do anything on the laptop which is entertaining, because otherwise when I am using my laptop, I'll start to deviate from whatever I'm doing. So the distraction should be kept as far as possible. Second thing we need to remember is flow. Flow is another concept in psychology. I won't go too much into detail, but the thing is, once you have a habit, if you are going for a running, if you are studying, after 10 to 15 minutes, you will have a continuous flow in that thing. So it takes only 5 to 10 minutes to get into a flow. And we need to remember, if we are not being able to put attention into something, it will take a few minutes to get into flow, and it's not something that needs to be worried about. Now I'll go over again how to build a new habit from whatever we have learned. The first thing we need to remember is starting small. One of the problems that happens when starting a new habit is, we take too much of mental effort. We want to study, we will create a timetable which is very difficult to follow. We will want to change every habit that we have in one day. हम टाइम टेबल बनाते थे ना बचपन में, उसमें ये भी लिखते थे 8:30 से 9:30 में ब्रश करूंगा, उसके बाद स्कूल जाऊंगा, उसके बाद आके पढ़ूंगा. Why they did never work? They never worked because it was changing your whole lifestyle. और आप अपनी बॉडी, अपने ब्रेन से कह रहे हो that it should kill the old lifestyle in for a new lifestyle which can be rewarding or cannot be rewarding. हमारा ब्रेन तो अभी नहीं जानता ना. So when we are starting something, the start should be very small. We should be very humble. अगर आपको रनिंग जाना है, तो the goal of the first day should not be I'll run 1 kilometer. The goal should be I'll run 200 meter. जो आपको अगले दिन उठ के लगे कि अच्छा 200 मीटर ही तो दौड़ना है, तो what is the problem? If you trying to meditate, you need only to meditate 1 minute or 2 minutes the first time. Why? The brain should not think that it takes a mental effort. If you are wanting to start studying and you do not study, you should never start by studying 1 hour. I know it is not something everybody will feel comfortable with कि बच्चों से कहो कि नहीं 1 घंटे नहीं पढ़ना. But believe me, it will never be successful. Why? Because you are asking a child who never studies, who don't know the benefits of studying, because it comes at a very later stage, to study for 1 hour. If you ask the child to start studying from 10 minutes, in 1 or 2 months, that child will be studying above your expectations, right? So always start small with a habit. Have a very well segregated space. The space should be clean, without any distraction, so that you don't move or deviate into another things. Anchoring, we have gone over it. No such, this is one of the things that we need to remember. No such social approval in the starting. The thing is, when we start a new habit, we have this tendency of telling it to everyone. This is one of the most self-sabotaging things that we do. Why it never works? We are social animals, and whatever we do is for social approval only. And if you get the social approval in the starting only, then you will not be able to succeed, because you got what you wanted in the starting without having the habit and without knowing what are the future benefits of having that habit. आपने सबको बता दिया, आपको अप्रूवल मिल गया, आपको वाहवाही मिल गई, आप वो हैबिट छोड़ देंगे. एंड आई थिंक मोस्ट पीपल विल कनेक्ट विद इट. हम स्टार्ट करते हैं, हम सबको बता देते हैं, एंड व्हाट हैपेंस इज वी स्टॉप डूइंग दैट. Second thing is not telling it to everyone is because, see, we in a society, we live in kabilas, we live in tribes, we still live in tribes, right? So if you tell everyone that you are improving, you will never be of any use to your tribe. And unconsciously, and this is what everyone does unconsciously, everybody wants you to come back to their level. Because if you go out of their tribe, if you go out and become successful, you will not be of any use to them. So it is necessary to keep your habits to yourself until unless you have gained that confidence that you will not be ending those habits. So getting social approval in the starting is not something that is recommended. Self-rewarding, we have gone over it. It needs to be rewarded. So one thing that can be there is, for example, if you are going for running, you can use music. If you are using a treadmill, you can use it to watch Netflix while you are running, so that it does not become very, effort. It does not take too much effort. Relaxation, as I told you about the music, when you are studying, when you are doing anything, you can use the technique of relaxation. You can put on some music. You can do something such as you feel relaxed while performing a task, so that you associate that task, rather than associating it with something bad, you associate it with something which is relaxing. Distraction at a distance, we have gone over it. Habitual stop, it takes a time to put on the effort and getting the real reward. So it needs to be remembered that it takes some time to get that habitual stop. One big thing is, if you are not able to start something, it's nothing to worry about. You come back later and start doing it again. But always remember, start small. Because once you start small, it will be more often than not, it will be more successful. So this was regarding theories about psychology, some of the basic theories, how they play a role in habits or, parenting for that matter. Now coming to stress. Stress is one of those topics which we all talk about, and now that there is corona, we have been more stressful in this scenario, and we were not previously that much stressful. So stress has become a very big issue, and it requires a good amount of management at everybody's part. But the problem is, people don't understand stress. People think that stress is something bad, but stress is a product of our body's function, and stress is something which can be good for our body as well. It was started something which helps us in our survival, but because the world that we live in, because of the continuous stressors around us, we become habitual of stress, and it plays a very devastating role in our lives. Will stress, so the basic definition goes is that stress is the feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. So for example, if we put some weight on our table, it's fine. But if we put too much weight on a table, then the table will break. It will feel stress. Similar to that, we have emotional or mental stress. When there are too many things which we need to cope, it becomes stress. There's too much of pressure on us, and it becomes stress. So there are two theories which I'll go over and try to explain what stress is, how it is started, why it's necessary, and what are the flaws that we can exploit to better manage stress. The first theory that was there was introduced by Hans Seil. It was in 1956, He gave a theory of general adaptation syndrome, that stress is our bodily response to stressors around us. It is an adaptation. It is our adaptation to the stressor around us. For example, let's say we are living in jungles. We used to live in jungles. We used to be hunter and gatherers. We used to hunt our prey and eat them. Now the thing is, you went into a jungle and what you see is a lion in front of you. Our body's response to that lion is stress. Or you are sitting in your home and what you hear is a sound. आपको ऊपर वाले फ्लोर से एक साउंड आई शीशा टूटने की. Your body will automatically go into alarm stage, the first stage of stress. Alarm हमारी बॉडी का सिस्टम होता है. It's called as sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic meaning होगा क्या? There is a sound which is coming from the upper floor. Your body will go into alarm. What will happen is our pupils will dilate. Pupils बड़े हो जाएंगे so that there can be good amount of light that can come into our eyes and we can see better. We'll have sweaty palms. हमारी palm जो है वो they will become sweaty. Why? Because we need to grip things better. Blood pressure will rise. Why? Because the blood needs to reach to the vital organs. ठीक है. अब ये सारी चीजें जो हैं मिलके स्ट्रेस बनाती हैं. हमारे we go through goosebumps. अगर कोई ऐसा स्ट्रेसर है एनवायरनमेंट में, so we have goosebumps. Goosebumps इसलिए होते हैं because our ancestor used to have big hairs, and if the hairs get raised, we'll become bigger than we seem. तो अभी उसका कोई यूज नहीं है, but it is part of sympathetic nervous system. So this is the alarm stage. स्ट्रेस हुआ, हमें कुछ अलार्म हुआ, हमारी बॉडी will reach into a sympathetic response and our body will prepare for either fight or flight. We'll get ready to fight with somebody or flight with somebody. ठीक है, या तो हम उस जगह से भाग जाएंगे या उससे लड़ाई करेंगे. So that is the alarm response of our body. The thing is, अब या तो that stress will remain in the environment or it will go away, right? If it goes away, our body will get back to the normal working, because that alarm stage requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of energy to see better, to grip things better, to have that adrenaline rush so that we can fight better. So our body will try to get back to the normal stage. The problem is if it does not go back to the normal stage and if the stressor is there in the environment, पता लगा वो हमें आवाज आती जा रही है, ठीक है, बार बार कहीं से ना कहीं से it is keep coming on, the sound is keeping to come out. Our body will remain in that sympathetic response. We will feel as if we have got back to the normal stage, but we will be in that alarm stage only. We will have what other two things that always happen when we have some stressor around us is our reproductive system and digestive system stops functioning, or they are down regulated because they are not needed. जब हम stressful situation में, they are not needed, because if you want to fight, you don't have any use of reproductive or digestive system, so they are down regulated. That's why people who are very stressful always have maybe a bad digestion system or a bad reproductive system problem with sexual activity. So that is the second stage. Now the thing is, if the stressor is there, we get exhausted because all our energy is used in that alarm response and we get exhausted. Our antibodies, our immune system gets low and we become susceptible to all kind of diseases. हमें क्या होता है, we become, so people who are stressful can have viral fever easily. They get viral easily. They can get corona. So these are all research things. If somebody is in stress, they will have a higher chance of getting into viral or या फिर और कोई बीमारियां, even all sorts of diseases. That's why stress is so bad. That's why stress is so bad for our daily lifestyle. Now the thing is, this system is very good because it is required when we want to get in a fight or flight, because it helps us in our survival. The problem is we are not always seeing a lion. The problem is we are always seeing stress such as examinations, completing an assignment, getting the job done, changing a home, getting married. These are the kind of stressors that we have today. It's not the lions, it's not burglars. It can be a burglar, but again, the normal stress that we have is completing our assignment, getting the job done, not being able to get proper sleep. This does not require that kind of response, but our body does not know about what kind of stressor we have. It thinks about a stressor either in either high in intensity or low in intensity, but the response system is similar to that of a lion. It gets us ready to fight. Acha, before going into why all these things matter, there was a second theory which was given by Schechter and Singer. It told about the cognitive appraisal or the context. Now the thing is, if we see a lion, we get stressful or we get feared, right? Our sympathetic nervous system turns on. But why is it that when we see a lion in a cage, why don't we get fear? The reason is because of the context, because of the cognitive appraisal. Cognitive meaning hota hamara thinking part, that is cognition. Our mind tells or we tell ourselves that this is a situation which is not to be worried. ठीक है, तो वो होता है context. हमारे brain को एक context मिल जाता है. Our brain gets a context that okay, this lion is in a cage, so we need not to fear it. So our brain send a signal to our body कि don't get into that sympathetic nervous system mode, and we don't go through stress. So this is the two things that makes up stress. One is physiological response or the sympathetic nervous system response, जिसमें blood pressure get high and we have red cheeks, our dilation of pupil, our hands are getting sweaty. So this is the physiological part of stress or any emotion for that matter. The second part is context. What is the context of the situation? Okay, are we seeing lion in a cage or are we seeing lion in a jungle? So our mind tells our body that this is the context. हमने वो पहली बात कर लिया कि why this good response system. This is a very crucial response system for our survival. If we don't get into a flight or fight mode, we will never be able to survive. क्योंकि पता लगा सामने से there is a lion coming and we are relaxed. Lion खा गया and then the lion is relaxed. So that's why it's a crucial response system. But again, we are not seeing lion these days. The lions that we see are the assignments. It's our marriages. It's the tuition fee of our children. It's the exam of our children. Now, how can we use the knowledge of stress? कि अगर इसके दो part हैं, तो how to manage it? And we manage it through these, through this understanding only. We have a basic understanding, automatic understanding, but not the bookish understanding. So, but we can use this understanding to, manage stress. Acha, how we manage is by manipulating one of these two variables, either the cognitive or the context. The context क्या है, इसे manipulate करके, or either our physiological response. We can consciously manipulate both of these or change both of these component of stress. There was a experiment about this. I have written the example lady at the end of a suspension bridge. There was an experiment carried out. The experiment was that there were two sets of participants. One walked on a simple bridge that we all see. They walked on a simple bridge and crossed that bridge. And at the end, the basic experiment was, gist of the experiment was, when they walked on that bridge, there was a lady waiting at the end of the bridge. The lady asked them that how they felt about crossing the bridge, blah, blah, this and that. And the lady gave them the number, the phone number, that if you have any questions about the experiment, you can ask me and you can call me anytime. This was the first set. This was the first trial. In the other experiment, what they did was they used a suspension bridge, the kind of bridge which hangs, right? Now the participant crossed that bridge. Similarly, there was a lady at the end of the bridge. The lady gave them the phone number and asked them to call if they have any problem. Which of the participant must have called more? The thing was, the results were that the participant who walked on the suspension bridge called the lady most often. Why? Because they thought that the reason they had that physiological response. When they were walking on that suspension bridge, they had the same physiological response, kind of blood rushing in, and goosebumps or dilation of pupil, because it's a very thrilling experience. Now they thought that the thrilling experience was because of that lady, because of the attraction they had towards that lady. So people who walked on the suspension bridge called the lady more often. Why? Because they misappraised their stress response or the fear response. They thought that the context was कि इसमें देखो physiological response तो हो गया because of walking on that bridge, but for them the context was lady. They felt that this thrilling experience can be because of lady as well. Now this is how we sometimes misappropriate our emotions as well. We can use this knowledge to manage stress by manipulating one of the stress component, either context, either the physiological how. For example, if you want to change physiological response, आप आए कल एक exam है, you are feeling that stress rushing in and you are very tensed. What happens is आप दोनों, both the components are there. How you can manage is by breathing. By breathing simply along, होता है ना deep breathing, taking in the air and then relaxing, basically relaxing yourself. Why? Because then our body will send the signal to the mind that okay, this particular response that you are having is not stressful, because the body is not getting stressed, the body is not getting tensed. One thing is that if you can use it on yourself as well. Right now most of us, when we sit towards anything which requires effort, we sit very tensed. Hamari muscles jo hoti hain, they are very tensed. So you can use it on yourself as well. You can relax yourself and feel, matlab abhi you relax your muscles just like that, sit with your body untensed and your muscle untensed, and you will start to feel that there is much less stress around us. So a simple thing like that can also work. Muscle relaxation is part of that only. You can relax your muscle by kind of you can use it by relaxing your muscle, each muscle one by one. You can constrict it, then release the muscle, and it will give a relaxation feeling. It will give a physiological change. So agar ek component change hua, we feel relaxation in our body. The body sends the signal to the mind that the situation is not tenseful. Second is changing the cognitive level. Hota hai na, we listen to music or we try to talk to a friend. ये किस लिए होता है? Because we want to change the cognitive level. हम अपने दोस्त को बताते हैं, we tell our friend that okay, this is the situation and I am stressful for that, and the normal response is it's okay, you'll get over it. So that cognitive label or the context changes. Hota kya, we feel okay, it's not that stressful, it's okay, everybody goes through it, and our mind tells our body okay, it's not stressful. You can create your own strategies for this. You can make a cup of tea for yourself, you can go out and walk, and best strategy is to solve the problem itself. If you are feeling that you are having a stress because of the examination, you can study. Once you study, you will have a lot less stress, because now the cognitive level is I have studies, I have made effort, and it's okay, I'll be able to give the exams in a better way. So this is two things that we can change when we are in a stressful situation and feel a little less stressed. आप एक traffic jam में हैं, you are feeling stressful, play a music which is relaxing. Meditative music play कर लो. You are studying, play music. You are studying, take deep breathing. Relax your muscle. Take a shower, go for a walk, listen to music, talk to a friend. So this is what management of stress is. It requires either changing one of the things, cognitive or context, and physiological change, the normal response of our body. This is the end of the PPT. I hope I was able to depart my understanding of both the topics to you.